It is so exciting to learn life lessons, especially when you get to learn them through adventure travel. We just got back from our hiking trip to the Grand Tetons and Yellowstone, and I had a lot of ahas before the trip as well as during. I not only want to share those with you, but encourage you to think about what life lessons have you learned and how are you going to apply either my insights or your own. Welcome, I'm Sherry Traxler with ViREO Life, author of Go Forward, 28 Days to Eat, Move, and Enjoy Life God's Way. So glad that you're here. Thank you for subscribing and clicking that notification bell so you can get all of the new videos and not miss them. What were my life lessons and how are you going to apply them? Lesson number one was a big aha for me, and it's actually going to tie in to a lesson at the end, so be sure to watch at the end as well. So this big lesson came when I was packing for the trip. When I have packed for trips in the past, I try to pack a huge stack of books that I want to catch up on reading. I try to pack every skincare cream and mask and all of these things I want to do on the trip. Well, even on a hiking trip where the main goal is let's go hike all day and come in, I've always had this sense of I want to cram all this other stuff in. That just didn't sit well this trip. As I was packing, I thought, what's going on? And I realized I feel complete. And I don't know if you have ever had that moment, and if you have not, I encourage you to do the second aha I'm going to tell you so you can get to that place. That sense of I'm enough. I have enough. I live enough. There is enough. I am not searching out there anymore for what's going to fulfill me and make me happy and complete. I'm there. Well, that leads to point number two. My second lesson was when I asked myself, well, why is this? Why do I now, after all these years, and if you watch the first video, you'll know how many that is, why do I now feel that way? And it's not just because of passage of time. It's because I have very intentionally, these past few years, done enough self-care. And exercise, yes, absolutely. That's always been part of my life. Eating healthy, yes. But as an intuitive eater, eating mindfully, so every single time that I eat is an opportunity to fill myself mentally and emotionally, to nourish myself, to take care of me. Every time that I take the time to do my nails, they're actually painted today. That does seldom happen. That's low on my self-care list. When I take the time to do a mask or get a massage or whatever it is for me that's self-care, doing that on a regular basis and always evaluating what are the things that are taking out. Whenever I journal each year at the end of the year, I ask myself, what gives me energy? What takes out of my energy? And in a bad way. And by doing that year after year, I've discovered now I'm putting more things in than take out. And it's worked because point number one, lesson number one, I didn't have to cram a whole lot of stuff into this trip to feel complete and fulfilled. So what are you doing to put into your tank? There was a video that I made about a client, and I'll link this up in the description, about how her taking care of herself then gave her the ability to take care of others. And I knew that that was the path. We got her moving on it, and I was already on that path, but in that moment realizing it's worked, I'm there. Now, lesson number three relates a little bit to that client, but was also a big eye-opener for me. When you are full, it is not only easier, your first thought is, how do I give to others? So it's not that you never have energy go out. You do. But it's selecting where and when that energy goes out and who that energy goes out to, and then making sure it's balanced with taking care of yourself. Once I had that aha of I'm complete, I started realizing, oh, I want to look for a souvenir for so-and-so. Oh, so-and-so wanted me to get a picture of an elk. And I talked about that, I think, in the first video, maybe the second. And having that time of realizing I am thinking more about, automatically thinking more about other people and how to meet other people's needs and desires related to this trip. It was so fun. Lesson number 4. This one's a practical one, but it's still a life lesson, and that is stay current. I fought for a very long time getting a smartphone. I had a flip phone. I think my husband and I were one of the last 10 people who had flip phones. And the reason I fought it, I won't go into, but I'm so glad that I finally got current, because on the layover in O'Hare Airport, we had about 30 minutes. I walked around because after sitting for a while, you need to walk. So I walked, and then I had about 15 minutes of the layover left, and I thought, well, I'm going to just go ahead and check my LinkedIn message. Somebody had messaged me about a possible conference. I checked my LinkedIn message. Sure enough, they had messaged me. It was a last-minute need for a proposal. So in the airport on a 15-minute layover, because I have current technology, I was able to send in the proposal, got the speaking engagement, and I will put a link below to that so that you can watch, because it was a virtual conference right now, of course. And all because I stayed current with technology. So my question to you is, where are you fighting going with current society, current needs? Now, I'm not talking about fads, and I'm not even talking about following a trend just because everybody's doing it. No, we don't want that. But if there is something that will make your life easier and it's current technology, what do you need to add? Number 5, we're going deep again. When I was at Phelps Lake, which was our first hike on the trip, we saw beautiful scenery as we're walking down toward the lake. And then at the end, we turned around and saw this. And I realized, just like I shared in the first video, that I had a brand new perspective. It took our breath away to see that canyon. And I thought, what else in my life do I need to turn around and see a different perspective on? What do you see only one side of that you need to see in a different way? Number 6, this one was a hard one, but it's all about trust. Trusting the process. When we were heading to one of the hikes, it had snowed, and we thought the roads have cleared. We're going to be able to get to the hike and to the trailhead and get the hike that we want. We got to the park entrance, and the park ranger said, sorry, this road is closed for the next 7 miles. You're going to need to turn around and go such and such road for another entrance. We did not know how to get there. Fortunately, because we had our handy technology, current technology from the last lesson, we were able to map out how to get to that entrance that he had said. Here was what was fascinating. I was frustrated, I have to admit. It's like, oh, we've already had to wait for the snow. We're late going, but we want to hike today, so let's go there. It ended up being the biggest blessing because that route ended up being faster and easier than the way that we had been going into the park. So from that point on, almost every time that we needed to get to what I'm going to call the far end of the park, we took this other route from that point on in the trip. My encouragement to you there, if you're frustrated over something, maybe all things work together for good. Maybe it's going to turn out for your good in the end, even though it is uncomfortable right now. Lesson number 7, all about gratitude and happiness. We know that when someone practices gratitude, happiness increases by 10%. Social skills improve, mental health improves. There's so many factors that happen positive with gratitude. Well, I'm a living testimony of an area that it also helps, and that's sleep. In the second video, I talked about the trouble I had sleeping on this trip and all the different tips that I had for sleeping better, shared those with you. Well, I saved this one for this video. Gratitude. There were, I think almost every night I had trouble sleeping. But there was one night in particular that I thought, I have done everything I know to do. I had cooled off. I had used my MP3 player for music, for healing school. It's a tape I listened to of healing scriptures. A tape. You can tell what I grew up with. Anyway, but one thing I had not done was a gratitude. And I promise you, my perspective at that point was, yeah, this has gone wrong, this has gone wrong, this has gone wrong, this has gone wrong. This is an issue. I'm having to revamp this. I'm having to revamp that. I was stressed. What am I going to be grateful for? But fine, I'll write in my gratitude journal. Thank you for the 2 rangers who helped us find our way out of being lost yesterday. Thank you for the snow being light enough we could still hike. Thank you for the moose we saw. I was able to come up with a whole page, an entire page of things I was grateful for, and not just generic things like, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my, good neighbors. No, it was things specific to that trip, things specific to the past couple of days on that trip. So here's my point. If you are frustrated about something, if you are unhappy about something, get out your journal right now and fill up a page of what you're grateful for. If you're not a journaler, get out a sheet of paper and fill it up with what you have in your life that you can have gratitude over. For me, it actually calmed my mind and I went to sleep. Number 8, it's all about trusting yourself. Okay, I've talked about trusting the process, those things that you don't have control over, they'll work out for your good, but also trusting yourself. And this also relates to journaling. There was an issue I had. Oh, imagine what it was. It was sleep. Sleep was the issue on this trip. On the way home, this is a hard lesson for me to, embarrassingly admit. On the way home, on the plane home, I thought, okay, when we take, a trip again, because we are going to travel, what can I do to help with sleep? And I came up with about a page and a half of ideas that will help me with sleep in the future. Some of those I shared on the last video. And I realized, how many times do I have an issue and I grapple and I grapple and I think and I'm frustrated, but I don't actually take the time to sit down and write out, okay, here's what the issue is, here's what I think is causing it, and then exhaustively list everything I can think of to help the issue. Just like you would do in a group brainstorming session of, okay, no ideas too lame, let's get all the ideas out there, just making a list of that. And I realized, oh wow, I wish I had done this then. So that was my commitment, my life lesson to myself, and encouraging you to do this as well. When you have an issue, don't wait until 2 weeks down the road, 1 week down the road. When it's frustrating you, it's worth stopping and brainstorming ideas. Number 9, this one is precious, and it's about your unique journey. When we were on our first evening there, we ran into a couple who was out having a lovely picnic that evening, and they said hello, so we came over and chatted. The wife looked at me and said, "Since you're going to be here a week, you need to do a sunrise at this particular place." Well, I'm a sunrise person. I'm not a sunset person. I'm a sunrise person. And the pictures that she showed me of the sunrise reflecting off of the Tetons into this water, it was breathtaking. It was not a place that we had planned on going. It was not a hike that I had planned. And I thought, oh, I don't really know, but her pictures inspired me. I really wanted to see that. And because of the rearrangement of things with the snow and just the way the trip laid out, we didn't get to do that. We got to see this instead. It was interesting to me that I wasn't disappointed. I was expecting to be disappointed. I was expecting to have that sense of, I didn't get to see as pretty of a sunrise as she did. But inside me, maybe it's that completeness again, I recognized that's her journey. Seeing that sunrise at that location, that's hers. This was mine. So what in your life are you feeling possibly jealous of someone else? What are you feeling like, oh, I'm missing out? When really you're experiencing your journey and they're experiencing theirs. Life lesson number 10, here we go. This is another one about happiness and completeness and fulfillment and confidence in your own life. I have always been someone who doesn't like clutter, but likes something that is sentimental from a trip to remind me of that trip, otherwise known as a souvenir. Well, as we were ending this trip, I began to look for souvenirs. And I would have something and I would try to picture it in a different room in the house, and it wouldn't fit. So I'd try something else and nothing really fit. Everything would just add to clutter. Everything would not enhance my life, but would just distract from what was important to me. And I thought, okay, what's going on here? Kind of like at the beginning, asking why. And I realized I don't need a souvenir to make me complete. I don't need a souvenir to make this trip a memory. I don't need, and I mean, I have things that are going to go in a scrapbook. It's not like I don't have some things, but to have something, there really wasn't. And there's nothing wrong with souvenirs. Next trip we take, I may end up with several. But it was that realization that I do not need a thing to make me happy and complete. I'm already happy and complete, and anything that I have, I want it to be an expression of who I am, not to make me be something. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. Let me know which of these 10 resonated with you, which of these you've learned maybe in another setting, and most importantly, how you are applying the life lessons that you have learned. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for subscribing and clicking that notification bell. Remember, until next time, find your path and fulfill your unique potential.